how to brick up a boiler flue. My name's Alan Hart, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to brick up a boiler flue. I'm also going to give you some tips and tricks as well when you're doing bricking the flue up. Also, I'm going to show you how not to do it. I'm going to show you on a job where I bricked up. We spent a lot of time, we did a lovely job, and then an electrician came along and took an air brick out, or an air vent out, an extractor, and he made a right mess of it. So I'm going to show you both options. If you can put a thumbs up. If you've got any comments, then please put some comments below. If you've got any tips and tricks that you can add to this video, again, please put some comments below. Lots of trainees are watching these videos now, so all we can do to help them, the better. Yeah, let's go and have a look at this flue hole. So this has been bricked up by somebody else in the past, but this would have been an old balanced flue. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to chop this out, cut all these bricks out. I'm going to show you what I do when I chop them out. We'll also go to brick library and I'll show you how you get your matching bricks. Also, we need to measure the bricks as well. So yeah, so what we'll do now, we'll start to chop all this out. And these are just some of the tools that I would use. Normally I would use my drill quite a bit with this. Some people use a grinder and they'll grind this out. I use a drill and I use a chisel, and also a flat chisel as well. Tape measure, you'll definitely need a tape measure because you'll need to measure the bricks. Sometimes the bricks are metric bricks and sometimes they're imperial bricks. So you need to measure them and make sure you get the right size bricks when you go to the brick library, and that's really important. I've actually been caught out on that myself in the past, which if you end up getting bricks that are too big, it makes it very difficult. And I tend to put dust sheet down just so that when all brick dust and any cement or all like that, you don't want it going up dry. It's a nightmare to tidy up, and sometimes it might stain, especially if it's new like this block paving. So I've just got a dust sheet down there, and now I'm just going to chop this out. I'm just going to put chisel in here and I'm going to chisel this out. And this is something that a lot of people think is very basic, but it's just one of the apprentices didn't know how to take the bit out of the drill. So all you do is just pull that back and just pull the bit out, and then put your new bit in. And then on the drill itself, we're just going to put onto the hammer position, and then I'm just going to chisel this out. We just zoom in on this. You can see whoever bricked it up in past, they didn't even brick up the inside, so that's just the back of the kitchen cupboard. So we'll brick that up before we do the rest of this. It's now important that we get the closest brick match possible, and sometimes that might not actually be getting the exact brick, because there can be different shades sometimes. So sometimes you go to brick library and you look and you might think, get this one because it suits you better. So a couple of ways that you can do it is chop a brick out. Obviously if you chop a brick out, take a brick with you, then you're going to get the best match that you can. The other way is you can take a photograph of the bricks, but what I would recommend you do if you do that is put your tape measure on. Always use your tape measure and measure the bricks. So that when you go to brick library you get the right size bricks. Obviously taking the brick with you is the best way. I did a job, must be 10 years ago now, and we actually got the exact match of bricks. It was the same brick, but the customer had some trees or something next to it, and the wall was stained, and when we put it in, it just looked a total mess, and it was chopping a window out. so it were quite a big mess. So we ended up taking it out and we ended up getting a brick that matched better. So sometimes trial and error over time, but as I say, if you can take the brick with you, you can get a better match. And there's a good chance you're going to have a brick library near you or where you're working, and all you need to do is go to the brick library and just try and get the best brick match possible. And if you're the customer looking at this video, then maybe you could get the bricks ready for your installer when it comes to do the boiler for you, and then at least you know you're going to get a good brick match. There literally are thousands and thousands of bricks in here, or millions or tens of thousands or whatever, so you can normally always get quite a good match for what you want to get. I've still got some more bricks to take out on this, like this one here and this one, and also this one here. But what I tend to do is I start to tidy it all up and then just chop the bricks out as I go, because they can easily snap and you can easily run away with it and end up with loads of them broken. What I normally do with sand and cement is put my sand, or a lot of my sand, into a bucket, and then I put the cement in, normally about 4 to 1 ish. I don't really measure it, if I'm honest, I just look at what it looks like. But what I do is I use gloves, and some people might say this is silly, but I try and mix it while it's dry. So mix it as much as possible when it's dry, and then I start to add the water. But please put a comment below, let me know how you do it. And then once I've got a fairly decent mix like that, I'll then start to add some water into it. You can also put dye in, depending on what bricks, what the cement is like, what the mortar's like. So on that one you've got black, and on this one we've got yellow. So this is just some dye that you put into it. I'm just going to brick back that up now. So just put first brick in there, and I just need to measure this. So let's have a look. Probably going to do it about 50 millimeters. And I'll show you a bit more detail when we do front bit. I'm not really taking a lot of care with this. But you can see there we've got 50 mil. So 50 mils about there. We can cut this with machine if we need to. So I've got a grinder, I've got a diamond tip grinder that we can cut it with. But you can see that. Nice and easy to cut that then. So I've bricked up in the back there, and because there were some holes, I've also rendered it as well, just to make it nice and neat. Oh, yeah. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of these bricks out, but I'm going to do it, I'm going to use drill. So I'll just show you what I do with them, stitch them out, and I'll just do one course there at a time and brick it up. So the way I do this is I carefully drill this brick out, and then I'll put another brick in here, trying not to snap that, because if I take this one out and this one out, these edges here, there's a good chance that these will snap. I don't want them to snap. I want to make it as least, change as least amount of bricks as possible. As you can see, I've cleaned all that off now. I'm going to put a brick in there, and I'm going to let that brick go off a little bit, and then I'll point it up later. As I say, I just want to try and protect these corners if I can, or these bricks. I don't want them to split. And my name's Alan Hart. Don't forget to like and share and add a comment below if you can. Thank you. And I'm not a brickie, so I don't have any fancy moves with throwing cement upside down and things. But I do try my best to do best job that I can with brickwork. Try not to get it up front as well, or I try not to get it up front. So I find that if you get it up front, it stains front of bricks. See, like they're stained, and these stained as well. It may be that once I chop this up a bit, I might drill them out and change them, but we'll see how it looks. And then we'll just get and then because I've got gloves on, what I try and do is just get as much in there as we can, and then we'll point it after. As I say, try not to get it on front if you can help it. These bricks on here below, they're not in line. That one sticks in, this one sticks out. So you've just got to try and make best of it as you can. But obviously if you choose right bricks, then your customer's going to be happier that you've made an attempt to do the best job you can. What you do, you see when brickies do it, and they have a fancy way of doing it, but I'm no brickie, so I just do the best job I can. As I said, I don't know if I'm going to chop that out or not yet. I might just try and scrape it off because it'd be a bit of a pain to chop it out. And now we can let these can go off a little bit, and then we'll scrape cement back and I'll just point them after. But now you can start taking these ones out. But what you've done then is you've sort of supported the bottom of these. So hopefully these won't crack and snap, because obviously if they started to crack and snap, then you might do it on the next one. The next one you could end up having to do a full wall. So you just try to do as least damage as you can really, and the least amount of work, but to make it look nice and tidy. So again, now all I'm going to do is just chop these out, and you can try and do it with a chisel, but what I find is sometimes you'll snap corners off, and I don't want to do that, so I'm going to do it with drill. I'd like to say I did it wrong on purpose, but I hit that with hammer, and you can see there that I've snapped it. So for purposes of this video, at least it's showing you, if you're not careful, you will snap them. So that means now I'm going to have to chop that one out as well, which obviously I didn't want to have to do really, but it is what it is. So I've just got to drill that out now that I snapped, but unfortunately it started to rain. You alright, Lucy? Let's say hi to everyone.
Hi.
So I just have to, it might run a bit down brickwork.
Good job.
That's my excuse anyway. Still got this one just to chop out. These bricks here, they're a little bit of a mess, but if I'm honest, I'm not going to chop them out because it's getting too close to all this, and I don't want to chop them out, to be honest. So I've chopped the rest of them bricks out now. The bit that's a little bit awkward with these is your last brick, because you've got to try and get cement up into there. So if you have a look there, what I'm going to do, or what I've been doing is I've been pushing it in. You see under there, I've been pushing it in there just as much as possible, and then obviously I'll point it up when we point it all up. And hopefully you'll agree, it looks a lot better already than it did before with different coloured bricks in, because it was just a mess. Obviously we didn't know what it were like behind, and behind were really bad. You often find that with brickwork, even when you go to a boiler, you find that even behind boilers sometimes, they're not even bricked up. Some at work that we see is really, really shoddy. So it's up to you if you want to try and do, you know, a better job. Sometimes you've got to do a quicker job, but I'd always brick behind a boiler. But as I say, sometimes it's something that you do see. One thing I'll say as well, not that I've used it yet, but I'm going to use this soon, and we'll see how it goes with it. But you don't need to buy expensive tools. So you'll see a lot of people on YouTube that are just plugging products all the time, and you don't need a lot of expensive things a lot of the time. We managed years ago with hammers and, you know, just basic tools. So just buy what you need to buy. Don't buy loads of stuff that you don't need to buy, especially if you're an apprentice, because you're just spending money you don't need to spend yet. So that's my tip with that. So I'm gonna let this go off a little bit now. I'm gonna scrape it back and then I'm gonna point it all up. So I'm gonna point this up now. I've put the yellow dye in this. I've probably put a bit too much yellow in, to be honest, but I want it to stand out a little bit just to show you. So on some new builds with sandstone, or pretend sandstone, this yellow dye is really good. And some other properties you might need the black dye. So it just depends. But yeah, just point this up now. You could, if you want, you could point this as you go, and you could try and make it nice and tidy as you go, which obviously would be a little bit quicker. But what I try and do is I try and do it like this and do it in bits, so we're not snapping any of these. Let these set a little bit, and then I try and do a mix where it's all the same colour, so that when you point it, all you point it's the same. But please put a comment below and let me know how you would do this. So again, when I'm pointing, I just use my gloves and just put it in my hand. It just makes it nice and easy. And as you can see, this yellow really is standing out quite a lot. Let's try this new tool. As I said, I've never used one of these before. Normally I just use a bit of copper. And there's two sizes on this. So there's a 10mm and there's a 13mm. So let's just try the smaller one first. Just see there now, so we can see that I've put too much yellow dye in, but the yellow dye is just to show you that you can add yellow dye if you need to, and then also you can add the other dye if you need to as well. So that's with the yellow dye, and that's obviously putting far too much in. If you were going to use yellow dye, if you needed yellow dye, then you'd use it. Obviously look at the instructions on the tub, and it says 20 to 1. So 1 part dye to 1 part cement, and then also you've got the option to have the black one as well. So if you needed to put black in, and it just means you can dye it. What we'll do, I'm going to go back to that shortly because I'm going to change I'm going to change it and I'm going to point it with just normal sand and cement so you can see the difference. Also, there's another, I'm not going to use this, but I've seen this in merchants as well, and this is just a mason weathering tint. So I've never used this, so if anybody has used this then please put a comment below. But I suppose that this is, when the bricks are not weathered, you can go over it, paint this on, paint that on, and that'll help you with blending it in as well. If you want to go that far, it's up to you. Normally I just use sand and cement, I don't put dye in, but the odd time I had to put red dye in once. So yeah, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you some, just cutting the bricks, chopping the bricks to size and stuff, different options with that, and then we'll go back to the pointing and you can see what it looks like now compared to what it looked like before. So when you're chopping bricks, you've got a few different options. One is you can use a grinder. Obviously if you're going to use a grinder, make sure you've got your PPE on, especially your eye protection, because your eyes are very, very important. And also when you're doing this as well, you should have eye protection really. But so what I do, just get your chisel. Normally on these type of bricks, they break quite easy, so you've got to be a little bit careful. But if you just mark it where you want it to be, just put a bit of a mark in it. See there, just put a little bit of a mark in it, and then mark it again. You can see there, it's quite a decent cut on there, and then you can just tidy it up a bit if you need to. But when you point that up, it'll be alright anyway. You see there. So chopping bricks is quite easy. The only time when it's a little bit more difficult is when you want to do it at an angle. So when you're doing round the flue, so one thing to point out with flues is normally flues will come out level. So some people think that flues need to fall back to the boiler, and that in one sense is correct, but the fall is normally built in to the flue. So flues normally need to be level. You need to read the manufacturer's instructions just to confirm that. But with most manufacturers, the flues will come out level, and then the fall of the flue is built in to the flue itself. Yeah, so what I'll do now, I'll just show you one of these where we're going to do it at an angle. So in real life we might draw a line on here, but with a grinder, this is a diamond tip blade. You just see cut on that then, and you can tidy that up a bit if you wanted to as well. You can have a look at that brickwork now with normal sand and cement in there. You can see it's a very good match. And once that dries a bit, or once it's set, I'll go over with hose pipe and just get all dust down, and then it'll be a really good match then. And just to finish off, I'll just show you some jobs that we've done. So you can see we've chopped the bricks out, we've got brick match, and again we've chopped the bricks out on this. And you might not be able to do the best job, but getting the matching bricks, you can definitely do a better job. You see there, and this is the job where the electrician took the fan out. So we'd spent a long time getting bricks, and he actually used matching bricks, our bricks. But look at the state of that. And then this is just another job. Again, we've just chopped it out and just tried as best just to do the best job we can. And again, using dust sheets, making sure you don't damage customers' property. This is a little bit of a unique one because it were all painted. and we couldn't chop the bricks out enough. So what I did was I just rendered it and then put the lines in it just to make it look as neat as possible.